Bitcoin's going to the moon.
True.
Okay, I see what you did there. Bitcoin's going to the moon in 3 months.
False.
False.
Yeah, so as you know, David, I really love cryptocurrencies. I love Bitcoin, but it takes time. You know, it's like a child, right? So Bitcoin, you could argue that was a toddler, then it's an adolescent, then it has to grow into an adult, and so eventually, yes, I see it being the future. But I'm probably one of the only people here that thinks price is going lower before it goes higher.
Gareth, I sold my position in Bitcoin about, or half my position about a month ago. Mm-hmm. Now, back then it was about $40,000 or so. So I've lost a bit of upside, but I'm still on cash. I'm in the sidelines. When do I get back in?
So there's going to be good support at 40,000 again. If you're a quick trader, you can jump in at 40,000 and play it maybe for like a $3,000 or $4,000 bounce. I would say this: what is your time horizon? What are you looking to do? Are you willing to be in and be out quickly, or are you looking to hold something for months? So what I would do is if you have that in cash and you're willing to swing trade it, start looking at 40,000 as a floor. If it breaks 40,000, you have some downside, but for the most part, I would expect support at 40,000 and a bounce back to about 44 to 45,000. So I think you can look for that. Now, just be ready. Remember, as a swing trader, you can't kind of just say, well, if it doesn't happen, I'm just going to ignore. You have to be ready to act. So that would be my level. So it's going to 20,000.
I'm being greedy here because I'm trading crypto.
Well, and you can't be greedy in this scenario, and I'll tell you why. Is because ultimately the bear flag is in the chart. All right, you have a major cycle top here. You have all the makings of downside price action. The fact that we even fell off the 200 moving average and stayed within the channel that we talked about before tells you that everything on the bearish case for the midterm is intact. So again, if you're willing to be in and be out for 10%, then be ready to do that. If not, I would say sit on the sidelines. You'll get a much, much better entry when you break down and go 20 or sub 20,000. And by the way, you might want to, I know you're hodling some of it, but yeah, it's got 50% downside, so just...
Okay. So what's your price target now? You know I was going to ask you that. Yeah. 40,000 is a downside, 44 is the upside.
That's near term. That's just very near term bounces.
Medium term then?
Medium term is 20 or sub 20,000 still.
Okay, you're still
and I've been consistent. I think in Dubai is when I first unveiled that price target to you. And I stick with it because the charts haven't changed. Now, I do want to be clear, the charts can change, right? Yeah. I have to be someone who can admit when things change. So far they haven't, but I will absolutely come back on with you and be like, all right, they've changed.
How would they have changed?
So we basically, from the November high, you have this vertical kind of drop all the way down. And then since I think it's been the last 2 to 3 months, since January, we've been chopping sideways to slightly up. And if you connect the highs and the lows, they form this perfectly parallel kind of channel. As long as price is inside of that, it's classified as a bear flag, and the expectation is that it would break lower. All right, so now if we get above that channel and establish ourselves above that channel, that would be where I would start to say, okay, are things changing here? Now, maybe they don't, but I have to at least ask myself that question. And I think it's important to remember, again, folks, is that midterm is like 3 to 6 months out there. If you look at past Bitcoin cycles, it tends to bottom between 12 and 18 months since the previous high. So you're talking November to maybe early 2023.
Right.
But I think it's important to recognize that if you map this out to the .coms and Amazon hit a high of 112 in 2000 and a $6 when the .coms busted. Where is it now? You know, 3,300, 3,400. So $6 to $3,400. That's in 20 years. I mean, think about what Bitcoin would do. Let's say Bitcoin bottoms out at even $10,000. Then multiply that out where Bitcoin could be if it follows the same thing.
Well, besides Bitcoin, what other cryptos are you following right now?
So I think Ethereum is worth watching. I mean, there's a major trend line if you connect all the lows going back about a year or so. As long as it stays above that, it's safe. I do worry about Ethereum breaking that line, but I don't think people need to be concerned until it happens. Solana is one that's interesting. It had a big pop recently. It's pulling back.
What's your long-term vision for Ethereum? Is it going to surpass Bitcoin in market cap? Is the flipping going to happen, you think?
So my biggest concern with Ethereum is that it could be jostled out of the top lead by another cryptocurrency. I think Bitcoin remains the biggest, and it will be for some time because it's becoming the digital gold, right?
Yeah.
So you're seeing, the likes of Michael Saylor, you're seeing the likes of so many big players getting in and basically saying this. While Ethereum has a huge amount of use case, what's to make Solana not take over? What's to make, Avalanche? Or is there one that we don't even know of yet that could take over? And that means that when I'm investing in it, I'm going to do slightly less money in Ethereum when I go long because of that risk.
How many rate hikes do you think realistically can happen? And second, what is it going to do to the crypto markets? Because I've seen or heard of both sides of this debate. One, that interest rate hikes will really limit capital flows into risk assets like cryptos. And the other side of the coin, no impact because Bitcoin trades independently of macro forces. It's its own entity.
So right now, it's definitely a risk asset. So there's no doubt about it when you're seeing liquidity get tightened by Fed rate hikes, when you're seeing runoff on the balance sheet. Now they just announced $95 billion runoff. All of that is going to cause tightening within money flow into crypto as well as tech stocks and then markets in general. So you have to think that Bitcoin's going to take a hit. That's part of my thesis for why we're going to go lower. But I still think there's spec money in Bitcoin and it has to get more adoption. I think that you still have a lot of big money out there that is not comfortable owning Bitcoin yet. Now, over the next few years, I do think that starts to shift, and it's already starting to shift. I mean, you go to 5,000 on gold, it's only a little over, 1.5, 150% from here.
Yeah.
Bitcoin 500,000 is a lot more than 150%. As much as I'd like to see Bitcoin at 500,000 tomorrow, I just look at the chart and let it tell me what it's going to do. And I think that's important. There's so much hopium out there, and it got a lot of people to buy at 65,000+.
Yeah.
And those people are underwater quite a bit.
Right.
And again, that's a lot of this moon boy kind of nonsense out there. And I really stress to people, think logically, right?
Yeah.
It's not the last opportunity you're going to get to invest in anything. So think logically. Don't be a follower. Be someone who steps up at certain levels that makes sense.
Gareth, I've been hearing some bullish calls. By bullish calls, I mean $10 million Bitcoin. Just walk me through from a technical perspective whether or not that could happen.
I mean, anything is possible. I mean, if it became the reserve currency of the world and transactions were done in Bitcoin, then I suppose it could.
Yeah.
For me, it serves me, it's one of those things where I don't want to say it and I don't want people to kind of think about that because we need to be focused on now and where price is going to be. Like you say $10 million or whatever, then people are going to go out and buy right now, right? And it doesn't, like, let's play in the near term and set yourself up for the long term. But again, if that sort of thing happened, yeah, it's possible.
If you're bullish Bitcoin long term, $500,000 is a lot. That's 10x from here, at least.
Yeah.
Why don't you just hold it and don't touch it?
Yeah, so the two things I hate the most is being down on a trade. So if I buy it, let's say 40 and it goes to 20, that's going to bug the hell out of me.
Yeah.
The second thing I hate is time, right? Okay. Time is money. So for me personally, because I'm a trader, because I know how to read the charts, I'm aware that it doesn't make sense for me to kind of just sit in something for, let's say, 2 years before I come back in the money and start seeing that move to 500,000, because I can trade in and out 10 million times, not 10 million times, but I can trade in and out multiple times and make up way more money in the near term. So for me, it's just my style. And I think each individual investor needs to decide what is their style. Do they know enough? Like you said, you're not a trader. You might follow me a little bit, but for the most part, I think hodling a little bit is fine.